Friday, November 29th, was another winning day in the books. That's 4 out of the last 5 days in the win column. And the run continues strong at 17-8. The bookies thought they could slow us down, but this streak is proof of their ignorance. Every day is another step forward toward the ultimate goal, staying sharp, staying focused, and keeping the pressure on. Let's ride this momentum and keep on stacking wins. Sports fans, what do you want to talk about? Welcome. This is Tears of a Bookie. My name is Mo. Here we provide free sports picks backed with detailed and meticulous analysis and rigorous research with one goal, taking down the evil, corrupt, malicious bookies and having fun along the way and of course profiting. We always start with the bets recap though. Let's do the recap for yesterday's picks. We went 1-1. But we profited because the full unit play was the one that cashed in. The Pistons spread line, this one was easy. As I predicted, they straight up ended up winning. I thought that worst case scenario, it was going to be a very tight game where they barely lose, but they ended up winning. And yeah, just easy as I thought. They were the team that wanted to win more, and they just played really, really well. I'm happy for them. They have a chance to make it to Vegas now if they can beat the Bucks in Detroit on Tuesday. But the other pick that didn't cash, it was for half unit, and it was just a money line parlay. Knicks really sweaty, but they got it done. Magic got it done. Cavs lost to the Hawks for the second time in a row. You think a team that had one of the best starts to an NBA season could take care of a sub 500 team the second time they faced them if they lost the first time, especially given their track record against this team. Again, last season they won the season series 3-1, but they've now lost 2 consecutive games against the Hawks. I just don't know, man. Frustrating, but still profitable day. We will take it. Finishing the month strong. Let's finish it with, of course, November 30th. Today is the last day of the month. Let's finish the month off with a really good, hot, and not end. Like, let's continue the streak, keep it hot, and finish this month even stronger. By the way, the parlays record and all of that for the game bets and the player props are just straight bets. That's what in the record below, that's what I mean by player props and game bets. The parlay is any type of parlay. So it can be player props parlay, it can be game bets parlay, it can be a combination. Anything that I parlay, so anything that has like 2 legs or more, of course, that's what I count as a parlay, right? Because we just choose juicier things and parlay them. But anyway, player props have been hot, and we've got player props again today for today's slate. I really like some player props. Let's get into it. Before that, though, if you do find any of the information on the bets, the research, and all that useful, if it helps you out in any way, and if you want to support us, please consider subscribing. For those who have subscribed and watched the videos, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Again, I hope that if once you see this video and you see these picks, if you like them, if you want to tail them, I hope that you can get them at good odds and the lines don't move, the odds don't change. That can really be frustrating, I know. But with that said, let's start off with the picks. And the first pick is a same game parlay. The game today, of course, I'm doing the same trend where I choose one game and I just focus in on that game and provide player props and picks for that game. A lot of sports bettors don't do that, but I like doing that because it's been working and I just really like it, rather than focusing on multiple games and maybe doing half-assed research, right? Just focusing on one single game. That is what has been working for us and what I enjoy, right? It makes watching the game also fun too. But the game today is the Wizards and the Bucks in Milwaukee. Now, I know this game could be weird. The spread is at 15.5, so they are, anticipating a blowout for this game. But I don't think there should be too much of a concern regarding player minutes. If you look at the player minutes of the player, especially the Wizards players, they all play good minutes. The starters always play good minutes, even though a lot of the games they have lost by double digits. It hasn't been close. And even the players that have faced them, they still play good minutes, or even if their minutes are limited, their stat numbers are up. So, since it's the Wizards, they're pretty much the worst team in the entire league. It does not really affect their numbers. In fact, they play better against this team because, the competition is just less compared to more stronger teams. But with that said, let's start with the picks. I got about 7 of them, and the first one is a same game parlay. It's for a half unit. This is the only play for a half unit. The others are for a full unit. Let's get this one out of the way. And it's for Jordan Poole of the Wizards under 1.5 steals, along with the Wizards alternate spread of 23.5. And this is, I think, this is available on Bet365. I don't know if you can play this exact play, this parlay in other sports books, but on Bet365 is where I found it. Um, I like the alternate spread up all the way up to 20.5. Even that is good. I don't mind it. 15.5, just like a basically 5 points more than the original 15.5 spread. But let's first talk about Jordan Poole and his steals number. Now, Jordan Poole has had 2+ steals in 10 of 15 games this season, but this is a tough matchup for steals. In 4 of the last 5 games, the shooting guards that have faced the Bucks, and they've been the starters, only Duncan Robinson has had 1 steal. All the others, 0 steals. And also, when it comes to the shooting guards that have faced the Bucks, only Kobe White has had more than 1 steal against the Bucks in Milwaukee. So there have been some other point shooting guards. For instance, Brandon Miller and Donovan Mitchell. They faced the Bucks 2 times. One time in their home and one time in the Bucks home. In the Bucks home, they've had 0 steals. In their home, they've had 2 steals. So just when it comes to facing the Bucks in Milwaukee, it's really shooting guards generally. It's a tough matchup for them to steal the ball. The Bucks take care of the ball more. It's a weird stat, I know, going for steals. A lot of people don't do that, but it's been working. I do like the numbers here, the odds here. Again, this is the original line for his steals. I think it's at minus 200 or decimal odds of 1.5, which is why I'm pairing it with something. But also, Poole is averaging 1.9 steals this season. He's never averaged more than 1.1 steals in any of his previous seasons in the league. And it's not like this has been a career year for him or anything, right? Like, it's not that all of his stats and numbers are up. It's just another regular year for him. He's not a candidate for most improved player or anything like that. So I do expect his steals number to kind of drop sooner or later. I think it's just not sustainable for someone like Poole to average close to 2 steals a game. Again, just looking at all of his previous seasons, he's never averaged more than 1.1 steals per season. Now, last season against the Bucks, these two teams faced each other 3 times. Poole played in all 3 of those games, and he had 0, 0, and 2 steals. And the game that he had 2 steals was in Washington, not in Milwaukee. So, again, we only need him to not get more than 1 steal here. It is in Milwaukee. And another interesting fact for you, Jordan Poole has had a game with more than 1 steal, or aka 2 steals, in only 1 of his 10 career games against the Bucks. That includes, of course, before he was part of the Wizards and he was part of the Warriors, right? In all of his career, he's only got 1 game where he's had over 1 steal against this team. But let's talk about the other spread, Wizards 23.5. Now look, Wizards have been awful. They have been losing by double digits in almost every game. But they've only lost by more than 23. 23.5 is just too big of a spread for me. They've only lost by more than 23 in 4 of their 15 losses. Also, Bucks, on the other hand, they have not covered 23.5 spread in any of their wins this season. Even in one game where they destroyed the Jazz in Milwaukee, because the Jazz were absolutely horrendous in the second half, they won by 23. And excluding that game, they have not been able to win any other team by more than 16. Here are some of the point differential they've had against other weak teams that they face. They won Charlotte by 6, Indiana by 12, Bulls by 16, Pistons by 7, Raptors by 14, and Philly by 15. So again, other than that Jazz game, the others have all been point differential of 16 or less. I just really like the Wizards to cover a spread of over 20 points. I mean, come on. Usually, we also see this happening in the NBA where one team is extremely expected to lose against another team. I think the stronger team just underestimates that team and they keep the game close, right? We just saw it happen yesterday where the Knicks almost lost to the Hornets. It was a very, very close game. The Hornets basically had no starters. All their starters were out, yet that's what happened. So I would not be shocked at all if the Wizards keep it a close game. Also, last season, this spread was not covered in any of those 3 games. In fact, 2 of the 3 games last season, the games were within 4 points or less. Now I know this Wizards team is completely different from last year. A lot of their players are new. They've changed the roster a bit, but still, that tells you something, right? The highest point differential between the three games last season was 13. So I really like this alternate spread here and this pick here for half a unit. Pool under 1.5 steal and Wizards. Sorry, 23.5 to cover 23.5 alternate spread. Let's move on to pick number 2. Now we're moving on to straight bets for players. Now, a lot of the picks here, not a lot, but some of the picks here might be kind of juiced, but I've said this before. I play straight bets up to odds of minus 250 or decimal odds of 1.4, although I try not to, but if I really see something that I like, I will play it up to those odds. It's just the way I do it. I don't like to necessarily stick to, minus 110, minus 115. If there's something I really like and it's at close to minus 200, I'll still play it. But with that said, let's start with this pick, and let's start with some of the Wizards players here. And let's start with their sophomore player, Bilal Koulibaly from France. And the pick that I'm going for is 5+ rebounds. Now, this is not the original line. The original line is at 5.5, but I do like this alt line of 5+ rebounds. The 5.5 line, of course, is for plus money, but this is close to, I think, minus 160, minus 170, something like that. He's gone under this in 2 straight games, but Bilal is averaging 5.6 rebounds this season, and something strange is that in all of the games that he's gone over, he actually has not had a game with 5 rebounds. So all of the games that he's gone over, it's been 6 rebounds or more, and he's gone over this line in 9 of 16 games this season. He can definitely get a lot of boards too. He's had 2 games with 8 rebounds and 2 other games with 9 rebounds. Bucks are giving the 5th most rebounds to small forwards. In the last 10 games, for instance, Butler had 4 rebounds. Josh Green had 5 rebounds twice. He's averaging 2.5. Mathurin had 9. He's averaging 7. Levine 5. Dylan Brooks 4. 4 rebounds in 21 minutes. He's averaging 3.5. Holland, the rookie of the Pistons, 4. Agbaji, if I'm pronouncing that right, of the Raptors, 7. He's averaging 4.5. Jaylen Brown, 5. Josh Hart, 9. So basically all the players except for Butler and Brown have gone over their rebounds line, and some have extremely gone over. Like, they have crushed the line. Now again, there could be a blowout potential here, like I said, but Bilal Koulibaly is averaging over 35 minutes this season, and he's played 30 minutes or more in all but 1 game this season. And we know that a lot of those games still were blowouts, but he still gets 30 or more minutes. Last season, in 1 game against the Bucks where he played them, he played 25 minutes and he had 3 rebounds. But again, this season things are different, and all of his numbers are up, right? His minutes are up and all of his stats are up. For instance, just his boards numbers, his rebounds number have gone up from 4.1 last year to 5.6 this year. So 1.5 difference there. So I really like Bilal Koulibaly to get 5 boards or more tonight. I'm in this great matchup against the Bucks. But now let's move on to his teammate and a rookie, number 2 pick in the draft from France, Alex Sarr. We are fading in tonight under 12.5 points. Now, this is another alt line. His original line is at 10.5, which I don't really like because he's been kind of good recently, scoring, increasing his points. But this is a very, very tough matchup for a center position, for a center player. Now, he's gone over this line in 3 straight, and he's averaging 11.6 in his last 10 games, which is why I'm going for his alt line. But now he's facing perhaps the toughest matchup in the league that gives the fewest points to centers, mostly due to Brook Lopez and Giannis protecting the rim. But even centers who shoot threes have gone under this, which I'll mention their numbers in a second. But Sarr has been streaky, and he's gone under this line of 12.5 in 12 of 17 games this season. And here are the points he had in other tough matchups, right? Because there are also other teams in the league, of course, where they make it tough for center positions to score, right? Celtics and Houston are 2 examples of this. Against the Celtics, he had 6 and 2 points in his 2 games against them. And against Houston, he had only 5 points. So he's gone well under this line. And here are also the centers who have recently faced the Bucks. Adebayo 16 points. Diabate of the Hornets 0 points. Miles Turner of the Pacers 15 points. Vucevic of the Bulls 14. Şengün 18. Grant Williams 6. Jalen Duren 9. Jakob Poeltl 13. Al Horford 9, and Towns 32. So basically all of them except for Towns have gone under. And again, some of these players like Turner and Vucevic, they also gone under and they shoot threes too, right? It's not like they don't it's not like they're only finishing near the rim, because Star also shoots threes. Um, I just don't think a rookie can suddenly show up today. And, if all of these experienced centers have been struggling to, it's been a tough matchup for them. Sar, who hasn't been the best rookie so far this season, I don't think he goes over in this tough matchup today. So I really like this line here. His original line, again, it's a bit too sharp for me because he has been scoring a bit more, he's been a bit more consistent. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes with 11 or 12, but I think it's really difficult for him to go over this line in this tough matchup. Okay, now let's move on to some of the better players here, some of the actual stars of the Bucks, and we start with their point guard, Damian Lillard. It's Dame time, and we are going for his threes tonight. 3+ threes. Now, this is another alt line here. His original line is at 3.5, which I do not like. That is too much for him to score 4 threes. He's only had 4 threes in 5 of 15 games this season. Plus, again, this game could be a blowout, so maybe he doesn't play all the minutes he usually plays in closer games. But Lillard is averaging 3.2 threes made from 9 attempts from 3 per game. Washington is giving one of the most threes to point guards, and Lillard is hot recently. He's coming off an 8 threes made performance against Miami, and recently he's had 3 straight games with 3 or more threes, and he's had 3 or more threes in 8 of 15 games this season. One of those games he had 10 threes. Here are some of the recent point guards that have faced Washington and their threes and how many threes they've gotten. James Harden, 7 threes. Josh Giddey, 0, so he went under. Halliburton, 5 threes. Jrue Holiday, 2. Jalen Brunson, 5. Cade Cunningham, 2. And Trae Young, 4. We just need 3 threes from Dame, who's averaging exactly 3. Again, he's at 10 in one game, and this is a really good matchup. We just have to, the only way he'll miss tonight, he won't get this line. I think the attempts and everything will be there unless he's just ice cold or something like that, which is uncharacteristic for him to, with this matchup. And if all these other point guards have made, this number of threes, I think that Dame gets it done tonight. Last season, he played 2 games against the Wizards, and he went over this line in one of the 2 games, but in 6 of his 7 last matchups against Washington, which include with some of these matchups include when he was part of the Blazers team before joining the Bucks, he's gone over this line. He's at least 3 threes. But yeah, so that is my next pick number 4, I think. Damian Lillard, 3+ threes. Let's move on to pick number 5. Let's move on to their franchise player, their best player, the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And this is now an original line. No more alt lines. We're moving on to original lines for the time being. Giannis, over 5.5 assists. Now, Giannis is averaging 6.4 assists, and now he's in a great matchup against the Wizards, who again are giving up a lot of assists to similar positions. For instance, Siakam had 6 assists against them. Tatum, 8. Tobias Harris, 3, which is, I think he's averaging about 2. Jalen Johnson, 7. Just high assist numbers from some of these previous power forwards who have faced the Wizards. Some of them have gone under though, like Jabari Smith Jr. had 0, but most of them have gone over their assist lines, and Giannis has gone over this assist line in 6 of his last 7 games and 10 of 16 games this season. Last season against the Wizards, he played all 3 games, and he had 8, 3, and 10 assists. And he's had 6 or more assists in 9 of the last 11 matchups against the Wizards. 6 of those were in double digits. We just need 6 tonight. Let's get it done. Even if it's a blowout, 6 assists is nothing for Giannis. It should be sweat free. Hopefully, let's get it done tonight. Giannis over 5.5 assists. Now, sticking to Giannis, we've got one more pick for him. We're kind of fading him, but we're also kind of not because we expect him to play good for this one. But this one is Giannis under 3.5 turnovers. So I'm playing another turnovers line. Let's cash in one of these. I don't think we've had one where we've cashed in yet. We haven't played that many, but I really want to cash in on the turnovers pick. And this I think is another great matchup here, another great um, a great spot here for Giannis. Even though that his past 2 games he's gone over this, but he's averaging 3.3 turnovers this season, and he's got under this line in 9 of 16 games. Against the Wizards last season, he had 2, 3, and 5 turnovers. So 2 of the 3 games he went under. But check out some of the power forwards who have faced the Wizards recently and the turnovers they've had. Derrick Jones Jr. had 3, so he went over. But before him, Zach LaVine won. In that game, Zach LaVine of the Bulls was playing in the power forward position. He only had 1 turnover. Siakam 1. Tatum 3. He's averaging about 3. OG Anunoby 0. Tobias Harris 0. Jalen Johnson 3. He's averaging over 3. Barnes of the Spurs 0. Jabari Smith 0. And Tristan Da Silva 2. So basically only Derrick Jones and Da Silva in the last 10 matchups, power forwards who have faced the Wizards, have gone over. They're just a team that does not really force the center position, at least in the center position, to like make mistakes, careless passes, and the stats here, their previous matchups just show that. So Giannis, let's get it done. Let's not give the ball over more than 3 times. I think 3 is a fair number. Again, all of the previous matchups that I just went over, none of them had more than 3 turnovers. So let's get this done and let's move on to my final pick and my final player. We're moving on to the oldest player, I think, tonight. Maybe, I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure, at least in the starting lineup, he should be the oldest. Brook Lopez, playing in the center position for the Bucks. Now, this pick is exactly a mirror to Bilal Coulibaly's pick, and it's Brook Lopez 5+ rebounds. Just like Coulibaly, his original line is at 5.5, which I don't really like, but I do like this 5+ rebounds. I think in terms of the odds, it should be extremely similar to Coulibaly's line too. This is just another great matchup. Now, you can also go for his points. That's a lean I have. If you want to go for his points, maybe that will cash in too, especially considering I think last season he had a career high or something like that when he faced the Wizards. I think he had 39 points against them. And his current points line, I think, is at 10.5 or 11.5. So I don't mind that either, but this one here, the rebounds has been more consistent. I feel better with the rebounds line compared to the points, especially when you look at, again, previous centers, recent centers that have faced the Wizards. Sarr, I think that he's still adapting to the league. He's not really boxing out, and he's just giving more experienced centers, big men, a lot of rebounds. For instance, Zubac, 16 rebounds. Vucevic, 12. Miles Turner, 9. He's averaging 7. Queta and Cornet of the Celtics, because Al Horford was out in that game, 2 and 6 rebounds. Towns, 12. Jalen Duren, 10. Capella, 13. Wemby, 6. Şengün, 17. And Goga Bitadze of the Magic, 12. So all of them have pretty much gone over their line or their season averages, except maybe Towns. Maybe Towns, I think he's averaging 13 or closer to 13 than 12. And of course, Wemby. Wemby's averaging about 10. Wemby went really under. He went only 6. But that was an uncharacteristic one, an outlier, if you will. All of the others have crushed the boards when facing the Wizards. And this 5 rebounds line is also what Lopez is averaging. This season. So we don't want him to go for anything more than what he's averaging. Now he's coming off just a 2-board performance. He only had 2 rebounds in his last game against the Heat. But before that game, he had 5 or more rebounds in 6 of his last 7 games. In fact, in the month of November, he's had 5 or more boards in 9 of 13 games. Last season against the Wizards, he also played all 3 of those games, and he had 2, 6, and 9 boards. So a hit rate of 2 of 3. Brook Lopez, let's get it done tonight, baby. And with that, we are done. We are done with today's picks. Let's end November strong. It'll be legendary end to the month that we go 7-0. But even if we go 6-1 or 5-2, it'll still be a great night. Let's get it done tonight, and let's start December strong with just a strong finish to November. We'll have all the motivation and everything necessary for a strong December to finish off the year, and just continue tearing down the bookies, man, and profiting and having fun. With that said, good luck, everyone. I hope you liked the picks and everything. If you found it useful, again, like, subscribe, comment, all that. I appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.